Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam Hazan et haolam kulo b'tuvo V'chein b'chesed u'rachamim. Arguably one of the most commonly known songs or chants or prayers, or more accurately, blessings that the Jewish people have. The Talmud calls it, or the Rabbi Yaakov Emden, a great sage of the Talmud, Talmudic commentator, calls it the unlucky blessing. The unlucky blessing. So many people know it, so many people sing it and love it, yet it's called the unlucky blessing. Why? Why is it the unlucky blessing? And it's a blessing after food, which is the connection to this week's Torah portion, because in this week's Torah portion, Parshas Eikev, it says, V'achalta, v'savata, u'v'irachta. You will eat, and you will be satisfied, and you will bless. So the whole concept of blessing, of giving, of praise, of blessing, saying Baruch atah, and blessing over food, or after the food, after you've been satisfied with food, comes from this week's Torah portion. Actually started from Avraham Avinu way back when. That's for another story. But over here, we'll talk a little bit about the obsession that people have with food. People have, there are many books written about food, which foods to eat, which foods to not eat, where to dine, and where to wine, and how to diet, and how not to diet. What is our obsession with food? Why does food play such a central role in our lives? So I'm here on a new path called Shaker Lakes. I've never run here before. We'll see how the connection goes. It says slow connection, but God hopefully will provide a connection. So the question is, first of all, what's our obsession with food? Why are we so upset? Why is there so much importance in our lives about food? And also, how is it? Sometimes the person may feel very hungry and anticipates the food and goes ahead and eats a great big meal, but nevertheless, right afterwards, they say, oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that. It's killing me. So the food gives us life. The food kills us. Why so much discussion or thought about food? It's a new path. I don't know it yet, but we're working on it. So, and of course, down to the main issue over here, blessing. We are blessing. Who's blessing who? We're blessing God. We say Baruch atah Hashem. Blessed are you, God. Who are we to bless the Almighty? Why are we, little ones, blessing God? Shouldn't it be the other way around? And why so many blessings? The Talmud says, the Halacha says, that a person is meant to bless 100 blessings a day. 100 a day, that's 700 a week. That's 2,800 a month. That's about 35,000 blessings a year. Times that by how many years a person lives. There's hundreds of thousands of blessings, maybe millions. Why so many? What's the point of blessings? What's our obsession with food? And these are all the questions we're going to just give a quick response to about over here. So, a word on the etymology of the word blessing itself. Blessing comes from the word in Hebrew is bracha, baruch, beirach, berech, which means to bend. It means to bring down. In the Talmud, in the Halacha, it talks about the blessing is the word bracha is a word that is used when somebody needs to bring over, to make flow, to bring down a leaf, a branch, from one place to another. I can actually model it right over here. Right now I'm being mavrich et hagefen. That's where the Torah uses it, to bring down a big branch from one area to another. Another place in the Torah where it's used is vayavrech es hakmalim, where Elazar at the well, when with Rivka there, he brought down, he asked Rivka for some water, she gave him water, and then he brought down He made them kneel. He made the camels kneel so that they should be able to reach the water. So that's a little bit about blessing, about the etymology about blessing, of the word bracha in Hebrew. But what about the meaning of blessing? What does it mean to bless? So we have these classic commentators like the Rashba and others that say that blessing means laha'anik shafa. When you bless someone, you're creating a flow, you're bestowing a flow of energy, of positive energy towards that person. By the way, this is treacherous space over here, just so you could see, for those of you who are looking. And I think we're nearing a camp or something. I'll try to stay out of the way. And then, so that's the idea of a flow, of an extra flow. Bringing a flow to something is also, Toso says, the blessing is tosefes bracha. It's an additional blessing. Oh, there's a group here, so I'll go that way. Tosefes bracha. There's an additional, you're adding tosefes, you're adding blessing to something. So what are we blessing God? That's really the question I'm getting at. How is it that we little guys are blessing God? Let's go straight, dive into the answers. We'll make it very short because it's Friday and time is precious. A Jew is a blesser. That's the idea. A Jew is a blesser, and that's our mission in this world, is to bless God. What does it mean to bless God? To bless God means to bring God, to make him flow down to places where he seemingly isn't. Of course, God is everywhere, and we know that. So that's our ideology. But there are places where God is not felt. God's presence is not felt. So every time we make a blessing, we are like flowing, making that something flow from one place to another, and we're bringing God's presence into our consciousness and into our world and into our environment. And that's what the blessing is. That's what a Jew is meant to do. And it's something like somewhat similar to on a food. Usually people have branding foods. If you have the oranges, the Jaffa oranges, everyone knows that the oranges are from Jaffa. Everyone knows that in America bananas are a dole or something like that. You have a sticker on every single food. It's credits to Rabbi Ashkenazi, Shneir Ashkenazi, for presenting it this way. You have a sticker on every piece of food, and that tells you where it comes from. Where does that food come from? What are the origins? The food isn't born right here in the store or on your table, but it has a sticker, and that sticker tells you where it's from. That's what the blessing is. So the blessing, like the sticker, is our branding. We are God's branding agents. We are agents of God's branding. That's why the Torah says, oftentimes, strangely enough, when God threatens they do something to harm the Jewish people, Moshe Rabbeinu says, God, what will the nations say? Who cares about what the nations will say, realistically speaking? So the understanding over here along these lines is that Moshe is saying, who will brand you, God Almighty? Who will be your brander, your branding agents? But if the Jewish people are not there, who will brand you? Anyway, what is this connection to this week's parsha? Going back to the beginning, saying that this bracha is an unlucky bracha. Good job. Unlucky bracha. Why is it unlucky bracha? So Rabbi Eikev says that, first of all, the benching, most often times, the benching comes after we're already satisfied, we already ate, we're done with our meal. Hello, boys. Hello. Good Shabbos to everyone who's Jewish. There we are. Yeah, you asked me what Instagram. It's on Facebook. But anyway, so the blessing when you eat food. Where was I? Oh, so you're eating, then you make a bracha beforehand, okay? Because you're hungry, you get to it fast. And then when you are done with your food, the benching often is rushed. It's hurried. There's less focus on the benching than there should be or than there could be. And that's why he says some mitzvahs have more mazel than others. Some mitzvahs are luckier than others. And he says that like things that happen, familiarity breeds contempt or diminishes excitement. So he says some mitzvahs like that happen once a year, like Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah, Purim, Pesach. Oh, there's a lot of fanfare and excitement with that. But benching happens every day. Could be 2 or 3 times a day. And it's an unlucky bracha. And why is it in this week's Torah portion? Because Eikev, right at the start, it says, V'haya Eikev tishmun. It will be Eikev when, or because you will listen. But the word Eikev also means heel, like the heel of a foot. And Rashi says, these are the mitzvahs. You should listen to the mitzvahs that Adam dash b'hakava, that a person treads on with his heel, a person steps on, a person doesn't value. They're of minor importance. So too, and this mitzvah of benching, of blessing God's grace after meals, is right here in this parsha that starts talking about that when you're going to be independently, you're going into the new land, into Israel, and you're going to be working the land, and you're going to be feeling your energy. You're going to be feeling that you achieve the toil, because until now for 40 years the Jewish people had man in the desert, but now they're going to start feeling their own achievement, and then they're going to think, oh, I did this, I made the food, I planted, I sowed, I reaped, I harvested, I succeeded, it's all about me. Says God, no. And then what happens if it's all about me? Then the blessings fall away. The blessings fall by the wayside. We don't consciously think about God and bless God. So he says that this week's parsha starts off saying the mitzvahs that a person treads on, meaning he doesn't value, we should listen to them and be very careful about them. That's the basic idea. There's a lot more, but we'll keep it short. And so we understand that we are God's branding agents. That's the main point. And when we say Baruch Atah, we should say it. What we're saying is we're saying, God, flow down from where you are. We need to bring God into a place in the world where God seemingly doesn't exist. And that's even in ourselves, in our life, in our consciousness, in our environment. And we are, very quickly, I want to just dedicate this also. Very close friend of ours just passed away yesterday. The funeral was today. It was Mark Joseph, Chaim Leib Herschel, Ben Binyamin HaKohen. I went to Shul yesterday for a change. He was there saying Kaddish for his mother's yahrzeit on the 18th day of Av. And 3 hours later, or 4 hours later, he passed away himself. And he got an aliyah, brought cookies to the Shul, and God took him. So he was a weekly member of my Monday night Hasidus class, my Zoom class. So I'm going to miss him. Everybody's going to miss him. He's an incredible, sweet, kind, humble, very holy human being. So dedicating this learning for him and Chaim Leib Herschel, and Miriam HaKohen, Shabbat Shabbat and Aliyah should be a good to better for all of us. So, have a good Shabbos.